Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the best class mods in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. So I got 22 of the very best class mods here that I'll be ranking on a tier list so you know which mods to download next. I'll also be showing them off in game as well as showing off what they look like on mod.io. And the first one we're actually going to be starting off with here is the Alchemist. This is a cool class mod made by Relamod. You may know them for the more enemies in basic fights or the extra encounters mod, but they also made this awesome class mod. Somewhat similar to the Artificer, which I know a lot of people enjoy. The Alchemist comes with 3 different subclasses featuring different abilities, such as the ability to play as a Grenadier. So you got the School of the Venomist here, which makes poison a powerful option, as poison's kind of weak in the base Baldur's Gate 3. In addition to this, we also got the School of the Mutator, which is focused on buffing yourself. You get a fighting style and an extra attack. And these mutagens will also give you increased armor class and give you different saves, which is cool. And you can also go with the School of the Grenadier here, which is focused on explosions, obviously, and it's pretty cool. Now, there is a class in the, or subclass in the Artificer mod, somewhat similar to this, but I think that this is actually very distinct from the Artificer as well, and both can be, you know, a good class to choose in your playthrough in Baldur's Gate 3. Now, whenever you play through as this, you get to choose your stats here, but you also get these arcane recovery charges. So these are what we use to be able to cast your spells. So instead of, you know, a wizard would use this to replenish spell slots, we use these arcane recovery charges as a resource to throw grenades or do any of the other subclass abilities. You also get the experimental alchemy, which is from the wizard subclass, and you also get use your arcane recovery charges to use your special grenade cantrips. So the Alchemist is an interesting one, and I think it's actually really fun to play around with. So if you're looking for a new class, I would say that the Alchemist is honestly a pretty solid one. I would put it somewheres. I would say probably. A lot of these class mods are so well done. I'm going to probably put this in the A tier. It's distinct enough from the Artificer itself, so if you're a fan of the Artificer and you want something a little bit different to just, you know, maybe play alongside it, because they actually do play well together, the Alchemist is a very great choice. So yeah, I'd have to say that this is definitely an A tier choice. Next, we got ourselves one of my favorites with the Arcane Vanguard mod. This mod was made by Sathos, and you may know this mod pretty well. It's actually got 5 subclasses now and level 20 support. Sathos has been working very hard on getting this mod updated as people request different things in it. So shout out to Sathos. They're also in my Discord, so if you want to give them a big thanks, the link is in the description for the Discord server, so you can feel free to join that. But what's cool about the Arcane Vanguard? So it's a full caster, and it's somewhat of like a balance between spellcasting and melee attacks with the 5 distinct subclasses, which I've covered on builds, so you can check those all out. There's a lot of fun with this one. So he also listed out every single ability that you can get from each of these in the mod.io description. So very, very well done. And my favorite, the new Ice Quiver subclass, but there's the Eldritch Vanguard here, the Judgment Vanguard, Sentinel Vanguard, Arcane Dervish, and the Ice Quiver. So I guess the Eldritch Vanguard is more so focused on kind of like a psychic caster. They're all casters with melee attacks. The Judgment Vanguard is more so focused on like wearing heavier armor and elemental damage. Sentinel Vanguard, somewhat similar to, not like the Paladin, but kind of, it's more radiant damage focused. Arcane Dervish, one of the most interesting. It's got a variety of different effects and attacks that you can choose. So when you look to choose your subclass here, I'd unfortunately downgrade this in the moment, so I lost the Ice Quiver, but I previously covered it in a build. Eldritch, as you can see there, psychic damage focus. The Judgment, mostly elemental damage focus. And whenever you deal damage with a spell or cantrip, it infuses your weapon, so you do additional 1d6 of damage. The Sentinel, you get those radiant spells. And you also get specific spells depending on which subclass you choose. So you got your normal Arcane Vanguard spells, but then depending on what you chose, you can get a variety of different spells. And I love that about this mod because it just offers so much variety between the different subclasses. And the Arcane Dervish, one of my favorites. It gives you special attacks, the Dervish Flourishes, which can deal additional force damage. They can reduce the armor class of the target or raise your own armor class. And as you continue to level up, the Dervish just gets so many cool different effects. It's really fun. I can't decide which of the subclasses is my favorite out of these. But in addition, the Ice Quiver, this is probably my favorite of them. I just love ice builds. You can infuse your bow attacks with Ray of Frost. So that's obviously very cool. You also can slip on ice, and very cool theming on this one. So I absolutely love the Ice Quiver, but I would have to say this is one of my favorite mods in Baldur's Gate 3. Sathos just did an incredible job with the Arcane Vanguard. So I would have to say this one is definite S tier lock. I have to say definitely one of the best out there in terms of mods. I highly recommend you give it a shot if you haven't downloaded and tried out this mod yet, because I think that you'll enjoy it. There's just so much to love when it comes to this mod. But next we got ourselves the Dragon Tamer. So this is one that a lot of people really enjoy. With the Dragon Tamer made by Wielder, you got two options. So you can be more of a melee weapon focus with your dragon, or ranged weapon focus. So those are the two subclasses. Range gets medium armor, the melee gets heavy armor, but you get a dragon. That's the fun part about this. So it's got unique little icons here, and whenever you go to choose, you get to pick at level 1 which dragon you want. So lightning, fire, or ice elements. And as you level up, the dragon gets stronger and stronger. So you got this cool companion. You can feed it cookies to keep its health up high. You can drain your own health to heal it. There's just so much to enjoy with this mod. So I'd have to say that this is one of my absolute favorites as well, just because I like dragons. And for anyone that enjoys dragons, the Dragon Tamer is a really cool class. And you can see here that you get the dragon pet here. It levels up alongside you, as I mentioned, and it'll fly around. Whenever you attack, it'll follow up with a reaction and attack on its own. And you can see the 3 different dragons there. They look cool. I just love dragons, and I love elemental builds. I also like cold spells. So there's spoilers to what's in the class mod, so you can check it out on mod.io if you want to see some further information on it. But the Dragon Tamer as a whole is a pretty solid class, so I'd have to put the Dragon Tamer somewhere's in the high A tier to potential S tier. It's not coming to console just yet. Larian did reach out to the creator. They were trying to get it on console, and there was an issue with it, so they fixed it and resubmitted it. So hopefully in the future we'll see that come to console. But yeah, I would say high A tier, maybe S tier. We'll have to see. I'll reevaluate this list at the very end. But next we got ourselves the Blood Rager. Now I really like the Blood Rager, made by Von Smash. I guess I front loaded these. There's some really great mods. The Blood Rager is essentially a sorcerer barbarian combination. You get to be able to cast spells while you're raging. So there's also now this mad as hell update here. Previously there's the mean and green one, kind of like a Groot upgrade, which is really awesome because it comes with a bunch of different subclasses. And the Groot one, or I guess the Verdant bloodline, is one of my favorites that I've seen. So looking into different subclasses, there's actually a few different subclasses they're also working on in addition to this. So I guess I'll just scroll down and show you. Also, I have a build guide on here. So shout out to Von Smash for the little promotion there. Really appreciate that. But they're also working on the Aberrant, Arcane, Celestial, Draconic, Elemental, and Hagborn bloodlines in addition to that. So there's a lot of good things coming for the Blood Rager, but what it ends up looking like, I don't have the newest update here, but 6 different subclasses, it'll be 7. And with this, the Verdant bloodline is really interesting because you can actually root yourself to the ground, increase your armor class, and you get some different benefits depending on that. You can also use your roots to pull people towards you. It's got so many cool effects. I think that the Blood Rager is a very interesting one. Now, if you played Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, you'll know the Blood Rager. It's basically the Barbarian Sorcerer combination. It uses Charisma as a spell casting modifier. You also add your Constitution modifier to armor class, so this works together obviously very well. However, you're not a full spellcaster. You only get like half spellcasting level, so it's not overpowered. It's just a nice new balance, and I think that this is a very fun and well done mod. I really enjoy this one because it combines 2 things that don't typically work together well and makes them work together well. So I'd have to say that the Blood Rager is probably another S tier pick for me. I really do enjoy this one just because of the variety in builds. I just did another build on the Shadow bloodline for the Blood Rager here, so the Shadow bloodline is actually really cool too. You can check out my build on that on my channel, because you can go in and out of darkness a bunch. At the end of every turn, you leave a little puddle of darkness that you can hide in, and if you know how darkness works, if you have the immunity to blindness, you can just hide out in the darkness, and most enemies have a hard time even finding you. So a lot of cool things you can do with this build. In the build guide video, you'll see me get literally ignored by tons of guards while I was just sniping away from my darkness. So pretty cool build. But next we got ourselves the Artificer. Now I know a lot of people really do like the Artificer mod. I do too. Echo 0000 made this one. They also made another mod that I have on this list. It's the only creator to have a couple mods on here. This one of the most downloaded, 317,000 downloads. With this, you got yourself 3 different subclasses, or 4 different subclasses, I should say, with the Alchemist, Armorer, Artillerist, and the Battlesmith. Now, what does this all mean? Well, it's basically an intelligence-based class. You get your choice in cantrips and spells here, but you also get infusement, so you can give yourself like advantage in concentration, add homing to a weapon. You can later on replenish a level 3 spell slot. There's a whole bunch of other things you can do with this. Add to your spell attack rolls, add to your armor class. Give your dexterity and strength checks the intelligence modifier. And with these 4 distinct subclasses, the Alchemist focused on making potions and bombs. The Armorers focused on buffing yourself out with thunder and lightning damage, depending on if it's melee or ranged. And then as you level up even higher, you can combine both forces and make yourself even stronger. You can gain resistances to an elemental damage type. This is one of the tankiest builds in the game. I really like it. The Artillerist, one of the most offensive versions of this, you can just lay down an Eldritch Cannon, or 2 of them, and it'll blast away at your enemies, doing force damage. You can also attach the Eldritch Cannon to your ranged weapon, but I actually think it's better to drop it down on the ground. And you also get the repeating shot, which allows you to shoot twice with your ranged weapon as a bonus action, and eventually it becomes 3 shots with your bonus action. So obviously very powerful. And the Battlesmith gives you a steel defender to be able to fight with. It's cool. Helmet of Awareness gives you alert feed as well, and obviously 4 very distinct subclasses. This mod is going high up on the tier list just because of how good it is. So I'd have to say Artificer is another S tier choice. I know a lot of people really wanted this mod to come out, and it's available for all players if you're on console or if you're on PC. So highly recommend this one if you haven't given it a shot. It's a cool class, intelligence based, and just a blast to play around with. Next, we got ourselves the Divine Soul Sorcerer, and there's actually 2 different versions of this that I had. And so for the Divine Soul Sorcerer, I guess this one's made by Nox TRX1. And what's cool about this is it gives you a different version of the Sorcerer. So similar spell slot selection, you get your same old choices here, but it adds in the cleric spells as well. There's another version of this on Nexus mods that I actually prefer. One of the biggest problems with playing a sorcerer is your spell selection. You don't have many spells. Adding in more spell choice when there are things like the cleric spells just makes it so much more difficult, because you're now forced to choose between some spells like command and shield or bless that normally you wouldn't really be thinking about. There's actually a mod that gives you from Nexus mods that adds a subclass, and with that one you have the normal choice of your sorcerer spell slots, but then you can also pick the cleric spell slots. That one becomes a little bit more OP because you negate the biggest weakness of the sorcerer, which is their lackluster options for spells compared to like a wizard, by giving yourself a bunch more spells. So the one on Nexus mods is a little bit overpowered. This one is a little bit underpowered. It just makes for an interesting class though, because adding in radiant damage to a sorcerer is pretty cool. Although you're not going to typically want to be healing too much just due to the action economy in Baldur's Gate. So is this really a powerful build? Not overly, but it can be fun, especially if you're looking for something a little bit different. Just in terms of the other classes here, this is just the subclass basically. I'm going to put it in the B tier. I don't think it's a bad mod, but compared to the other heavy hitters, I have to keep this list balanced. So I like it personally myself. I'm a big Sorcerer fan, but I don't see any reason to pick it over the Draconic or Storm Sorcerer, to be honest, just because of the less choice in spells. If you could get a couple more spells with this would be a little bit better and more competitive. But yeah, there's a lot of great mods on this list. This was a very hard video to think about and construct. But next we got ourselves the Demigod mod. Now, what's cool about the Demigod is you get to choose an heir of either Ares, Artemis, Zeus, Hades, and Aphrodite. Each one of these coming with their own spells that are very unique to each other. And it's a fun one. So you got the different heirs here, and with them, they each come with their own unique actions. So this one comes with Electric Surge. Your weapon deals lightning damage. And you get choice, like obviously for Heir of Zeus, you get lightning spells and cantrips. If you pick Hades, you get some necrotic-based spells. Heir of Aphrodite, obviously psychic damage focused, and a bunch of other psychic healing focus. The Heir of Ares is focused on like force and mostly weapon attacking, and it's honestly pretty cool. And the Heir of Artemis, more so ranged focus and animals. So each one of these is very unique in itself. They all feel very distinct from one another. This mod was made by Dean Enterprise here, so I really do enjoy this one. They're working on more different spells and things for this to come. Made by Dean Enterprise, I just mentioned, but I would have to say the Demigod is another A tier choice. I'd probably put the top of the A tier, potential S tier. I will reevaluate once we get to the end. I really do enjoy the Demigod though. Just the options that you get in this are incredible. So yeah, it's a great class. Next, we got ourselves the Elementalist. Now, the Elementalist is an interesting one because with this, you get 3 different subclasses, and each of these is actually very distinct from each other as well. So with the Elementalist, you get to choose between the Elemental Gladiator, Elemental Synergist, and the Elemental Weaver. So this is a mostly martial class, half caster, full caster. What I think is awesome about this is as you level up, I did a build guide on this if you really want to see every little detail about it, because there's a lot. You can add different fire damage, like you can make it so your weapon will deal whatever elemental damage type that you want, so acid, fire, cold, lightning, thunder, poison, radiant, necrotic. And you can also then add even more damage types to it. So if you wanted to do an attack that deals lightning damage and then add an additional cold damage to your spells, and then add additional like thunder and radiant and whatever, you can do it all. It also gets unique weapon attacks that will deal whatever type of damage. There's even ones that are like thunder, fire, split, and it rushes you forwards. But it's super cool. The elemental gladiator is my favorite of the 3 subclasses. The elemental synergist is kind of like in between. You're a half caster, so you're mostly doing like weapon attacks, mixing them in with cantrips and spells. And the elemental weaver comes with a bunch of unique spells as well. This is a very well done mod. This one was made by Avire here, and as you level up, you get a bunch of different options for spells you can see here. So it's got to the full list. Yeah, there's so many different spells that you can get, and I think that it's awesome. Just like you can see here, here's the different cantrips you can get for each of these. It's quite a list. It's full of different things that you can choose from, and for that, I would have to say the Elementalist is another really great class. This is a tough one for where I want to put it. We'll put it into the A tier for now. I want to save the S tier for the truly special mods that just offer so much to choose, and I guess this one does too. Just Elementalist maybe an S tier choice, somewhere's high A tier to S tier. We'll leave it here for right now, just to keep this balanced as much as possible. But next we got ourselves the Archivist class, and I actually couldn't find this on mod.io again. It's somewhere's there. I just don't know what the name of it is, class_archivist or something. But with this class, you get the option to learn pretty much any spell. It's meant to be overpowered, so for that, obviously it's not going to be up high on my list, but you can see there, you got any choice in cantrip, any choice in the bard cantrip, any choice in the some of the cleric ones. Then you got your spells here from different spell books. There's lots of choice. You can take 2 spells from each. This is meant to be overpowered, obviously, so it's not going to go high up on my tier list, just because, I mean, it's not meant to be like some. It's a class mod. It's a great class mod, don't get me wrong, but compared to some of the other ones where you got much more distinct choices between the subclasses, or even in the class itself compared to base game classes, this just gives you pretty much a bunch of everything from the base game. I still think that's pretty cool in itself, so I would put the Archivist probably, I'll put it probably in the B tier. It's a good class mod, just I think that the others have a lot more that they offer to you. So next we got ourselves the Blood Mage. Now the Blood Mage is an interesting one. It's not super strong. It's got these spell icons that are kind of, some people complain about them on my comments. It's interesting. It was one of the first class mods to be unveiled for patch 7 when it got released on PC, and one of the first console mods too, so it has that advantage of being one of the first. But I don't really know how I feel. It's got 700,000 downloads, which gives it more downloads than the Artificer mod, which I think is a little bit wild, because this isn't actually any stronger than any of the base game classes. It's still a decent one. Has been updated in nearly 90 days. Maybe I do Felicia's here. I'm not going to say it's a bad class mod. It's just not my cup of tea, I wouldn't say. And a lot of people have commented in the video saying it just feels a little bit lackluster in comparison to the other class mods. One idea that I do like is it uses Constitution as the spellcasting modifier. But again, these spells are kind of ugly. Yeah, I think that there's a better, even the Blood Sorcerer subclass, I think is a little bit better than this one. So yeah, as far as the Blood Mage goes, I'd have to put it I'll probably put it in the C tier. It's a nice idea, but to keep this list balanced, this one it's just lacking things that the other classes have. I like the unique spells. It's just very, very weak. I mean, the Wizard, the Sorcerer, the Bard, the Cleric, the Druid are all stronger base game options. But yeah, I digress. We got ourselves one of my favorites next with the Mind Weaver. So the Mind Weaver, this mod was made by ZX10RX, and we actually got ourselves another new subclass with this. So you get yourself the Sonic Warden, Force Blade, Astral Seer, Void Reaver, Etheric Strider, and the Frostveil Sage. These are all unique spells, or all unique classes. And what this also comes with is, with the Mind Weaver, you got unique spells for each of these. You got a bunch of unique abilities. So I had to downgrade my mod because currently playing another playthrough and it's causing issues with my mods. But the Sonic Wardens focus on mostly weapons and psychic damage, so you can make your weapon deal psychic. The Force Blades focus on force damage and heavy armor and doing different force spells. Astral Seer, my personal favorite, is a mixture between cold and psychic damage. You can see here you get unique spells with this. And in addition to this, you got things like Cone of Cold, or you get basically Magic Missile but cold, and also Guiding Bolt but psychic. There's a Lightning Bolt but psychic, and then there's also a Fireball but psychic. So tons of unique spells, and I have a lot of fun with this one. It's also kind of like the Wild Magic Sorcerer, because you have these astral anomalies that'll happen which will explode damage around you. It's pretty cool. The Void Reaver is focused on 2 long swords, and you get a bunch of benefits of using 2 long swords. It'll also give them the finesse properties, so it kind of blurs the lines between playing as a rogue. The Aetheric Strider is focused on doing psychic damage with your ranged attacks and necrotic damage with your melee attacks. So it's cool. It's about dashing around, dealing a bunch of damage, almost like Ciri. Shadowheart kind of looking like Ciri right now from The Witcher. I really enjoy this subclass, and in general, this is one of my favorites. So obviously, you know that the Mindweaver is going to be a high ranking on my tier list. It's going up in the S tier, somewhere around there. I'm going to finalize these. It's hard to rank them inner tiers because they're all just so well done, and that's really a good thing that we have so many fantastic mods in Baldur's Gate 3 to talk about. But next, we got ourselves the White Mage, made by Spelucia Starlight. Now, the White Mage is interesting because it's obviously not based on Dungeons and Dragons. It's based on Final Fantasy. You get some cool unique spells like Glare, which will do radiant damage, Dia, Cure. It's got a lot of unique spells. It also uses Aether to cast some of these spells, and there's also another Blood Lilies that you can use to cast spells, and Lilies. It's very heavily based on Final Fantasy XIV's White Mage, which I think they did a really great job adapting that into a class. It just doesn't feel stronger than like the base game Cleric or really any of the base game classes. It's just missing something that the other classes do offer. So obviously that will bring it down a little bit in terms of its usefulness, because it doesn't feel like something like if you're playing on honor mode. Typically playing honor mode with mods is not something that some people do, but you can, and it just doesn't feel as strong as some of the other options. So well, I like what they got going on here. They're adding more, they add another subclass to this, so it is a cool mod. And they're adding a bunch of different stuff. Here's a full list of all the spells that you get. There's the Glare Mage DPS, which isn't really that strong, I'll be honest. The Cleric ends up out damaging it in my experience. The Healing Fairy, which healing is not great in Baldur's Gate 3, but this is a healing based class, so I can't say anything about that. And then the Ender Lilies, which is like a hybrid class. Yeah, Spelucia Starlight did a great job with this mod. It just feels a little bit lackluster in terms of its output and damage. So, well, I like the mod a lot. I'll probably put it around the B tier. I'll put it at the top of the B tier. I just don't think it has a secret sauce that pushes it up into the S or A tier. Still a great mod, though. I just think that there may be some changes to the balancing to make this feel like something that you could use in an honor, or just even in a base game playthrough without, you know, sacrificing the great things that come with being a Cleric. So I also really just like the base game Cleric. I think it's a very strong class. But next we got ourselves the Wildheart. So Wildsong XXL made this mod. They got the mean and green one. Now with this class mod, there's it's, if you've ever played Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, which I brought up earlier, it reminds me of the Sylvan Sorcerer, which is like a sorcerer druid combination. So you get spells from both of those spell lists here, and you like speak with animals, and some of the like cleric spell, or some of the sorcerer spells like Magic Missile. You also have 5 different subclasses. Master of the Hounds, you get a special pet, and depending on what subclass you pick, you get different pets. So like the Master of the Hounds gives you dog, wolf, and warg pup companions. The Green Speaker gives you a variety of different ones like blue jays, pixies, saplings, and wisps. The Raven Song obviously gives you the Raven companion, and the Primal Lord gives you a choice between the Spider, Grimishka, Owlbear, and the Juvenile Dilophosaurus, which is the dragons that you find in the jungle in Act 3. And then the Chaos Warden gives you the Minor Air, Fire, Water, and Earth Elementals companions. So, pretty cool. I really do enjoy spellcasters that give yourselves summons too, so Wildsong XXL did a great job with this. They also made another class mod that I think is pretty funny with the Green Knight and the Farmer's Revenge, which only has 900 downloads. We need to change that. The Farmer's Revenge is a farmer-based sorcerer class. It's a blast. I think it's fun. There's also the Green World Sorcerer that they made. But in terms of where I'd rank it on the tier list, I think the Wildheart is another A-tier choice. I really enjoy the Wildheart just because I love sorcerers and I love druids. So combining both of those into a class is something that I obviously really do enjoy. But we got ourselves another heavy hitter here with the Wormsworn. Now this mod was made by Echo0000. This is the creator of the Arcane Vanguard mod. And if you know anything about that mod, this mod is also great too. This mod only has 11,000 downloads. We need to get those numbers up. This one deserves hundreds of thousands, honestly. in essence, what this class is basically like it's like an elemental paladin, but it's focused on having a dragon ancestor. So you get a lot of different spells. And actually what's cool is at level 1, you get choice of level 3 spells. These don't use your spell slots, they'll actually use Dragon's Blood, which is a resource. At level 1, you can only cast this one time. So yes, it's a great big power spike at level 1 being able to cast some of these spells, but then you can't cast again until you long rest. So higher risk, higher reward there. Whenever you need it to pay off, it will. And you get to pick a dragon ancestor, which will give you smite damage. So if you choose the like lightning damage, you'll have a lightning smite. If you want acid smites or even like a fire smite, you got a choice of elemental damage. The Blade of the Worms focus on using your smites with the Worm Oath. The Path of the Worm gives you the ability to use your Dragon's Breath attacks every turn. And the Herald of the Worm opens up portals to dash around and deal damage. I really enjoy this mod. You can also summon in Dragonborn fighters, so you can do a bunch of different effects there, because there's a variety of different ones you can summon in ranged or melee focus. As you level up, you get a bunch of fun effects. I really think this mod deserves so much more attention just because of the sheer amount of attention to detail that came with this. So Echo 0000 did a great job. You can see here you get different worm effects, so things like gaining Dragon's Blood to cast more spells, or repel enemies with your Dragon's Breath, deal piercing damage as bonus action. You can snare enemies whenever you use your breath attacks. Some of them will allow you to summon in different so whenever you fall below 50% health, you can summon a Dragonborn warrior to help in combat. Some of them will recover your resources when you do different things. You can also buff up your teammates after you take damage, heal nearby enemies, or heal nearby allies. You can also make your teammates be able to fly. There's so much cool stuff with the Wormsworn, and it's a homebrewed class made by Echo 000. Highly recommend this one. This one's also going to go up in the A tier. I think the Artificer is better for the average person, but the Wormsworn's also extremely well done. And this is the only mod that has two mods by the same creator on here, so I just want to give them a shout out for all their hard work on this mod. So yeah, incredible job with this. I think this one deserves more downloads. It's flying under the radar in terms of how good it is. But next we got ourselves the Battle Mage. This one actually just recently made its way to console. And what's interesting about this is it's kind of like the Arcane Vanguard, but not. So with this, it's unique. It's a half caster, whereas the Arcane Vanguard is a full caster. You get different subclass features too, depending on which of them you choose. So there's the Arcane Knight, there's the Arcane Guardian, and the Witch Hunter. Now, this isn't extremely powerful. That's fine. It doesn't need to be extremely strong. Not every class is meant to be, but it's only a half caster. You get the extra attack though. So this one's obviously more focused on being a melee attacker. Tacos 4K is the creator of this. I like Tacos. I like this mod. I think it's very well done. You get different choices. I've done a couple builds on it as well, and you get choice of different cantrips, and they also integrated Mistress spells. Highly enjoy whenever a class puts Mistress spells into their mod. So I think this one is pretty solid. On the tier list, I would have to say it's a tough one. It's like probably lower A tier or B tier. We'll put it lower A tier. Just some of the other classes here do similar effects. But yeah, it's a good one. I'd say A tier. Next, we got ourselves the Mystic. Now, the Mystic's one of the most well-known mods in the game. It's got 936,000 downloads. It's the most downloaded class mod, and for good reason. It's got so much going on. It also has another mod, the Mystic Expanded. So if you wanted to download that, there's the Mystic and the Mystic Expanded. The Mystic Expanded has 400,000 downloads, so more than a lot of other class mods, and it's just an expansion. It has 10 subclasses if you're to add in both of these. So you can see here 10 different subclasses with the Mystic Expanded. Order of the Exorcist being my new favorite, because you can create puppets of different classes. So if a level, you can bring in 5 of them. You can bring in 5 wizards if you want 5 wizards to drop fireballs. It's pretty cool. Obviously overpowered. This is the most overpowered class mod. It is. I'd also, the Order of the Soul Knife is a fun one. I did a build on this. And the Order of the Blade, it gives you the extra attack, and the extra attack will stack with one of their class passives that you can choose. There's 63 different of these here that you can choose from. Crazy. So some of them will give you the ability to give your teammates additional actions. You can make it so that you get yourself extra actions. Mantle of Courage here, Pillar of Excellence, or Pillar of Confidence gives 6 extra actions out as a concentration. So if you're playing with the expanded party size mod, this works really well too. You also have some cool things like the Mastery of Time, which whenever you use that, you can give yourself an acceleration zone, so you can make a big ball on the map that will give haste to everyone that walks into it. So You can make your team all hasted up. However, be mindful this can actually buff the enemies too, so you got to play smart with the Mystic. It's overpowered, but does require a couple brain cells working to make the most out of it. And I think that those are great. Any of the classes that are mentally stimulating to really give yourself an effect and a benefit. Zevo did a fantastic job with this mod. I'd have to say that this one is another S tier choice. It just goes without saying. The Mystic just offers the most customization of any of the class mods that we got here. It's one of the best out there. So yeah, it's overpowered, yes, but it's great. Next, we got ourselves the Priest class. This one's made by C. Montgomery Burns. This mod is also on console, and they also made the Warrior class mod, so we'll hopefully see that one come to console here soon. With the Priest, it's not so much powerful. That you got yourself psychic attacks, you got yourself radiant attacks, so you can like smite, which will give yourself holy power, and then your holy power can be used to cast different spells. A lot of cool effects here, and yeah, it's got the Avatar, Light Shadow, and Apotheosis here, so different level 12 capstones. I think it's cool anytime that there's classes that give yourself different choices whenever you get to like max level. It's a cool option to play as. Almost 100,000 downloads. Hopefully we can hit that 100k milestone, because this one deserves it, as does their Warrior class mod, loosely based on World of Warcraft. I would have to say that the Priest is, I'm gonna put it top of the B tier. I like it more than the White Mage. It's a tough list because I just want to put them all in the S and A tier, but in order to keep things balanced, we'll just put it right here. It's a good class though. Next, we got ourselves the Duskblade. Now, the Duskblade's interesting. There's actually two different versions of the Duskblade. So there's the Baldur's Gate 3 Duskblade class mod, and there's Waterwitch 83's Duskblade class mod. They're a little bit different between the two of them. So you can see here, got one of them here. It's got options for Mistress spells, which is nice. And then there's the other Duskblade mod, which this one is the one made by Waterwitch 83, has the Elemental Blade, or the Duskblade, which is more of a necromancy style caster, weapon attacker hybrid. I really do enjoy these intelligence-based weapon attack mixed with spells, because you can also multiclass them with the wizard, give yourself the ability to learn from scrolls, so it opens up builds quite a bit, as there's not that many intelligence-based classes. So the more of them, I think the better, because there's a lot of charisma-based ones. I know a lot of people are actually asking for more charisma-based classes, but I like seeing things like this because they're just really well done. And you can also see that there's some unique spells here that are made for this class. You can do fire, coal, lightning, acid, or thunder style smites. Basically, that's the energy surge there. So I like both of these class mods quite a bit. The two different Duskblades. I'll have to put the Duskblade up into the A tier somewheres as well. It's a great class. I really do enjoy this one. Next, we got ourselves the Witcher. Now, this is a little bit of a wild card because I don't typically go with like other. I guess we did the Final Fantasy 14 version, but I did a build guide on this previously. It's kind of like the fighter, but you also get the ability to do like your the Witcher attacks. So you can see here we got like the Igni, Ard, all the other spells that you can play as, or that you get in the Witcher. It also has 5 different subclasses right now. So the School of the Wolf, Viper, Griffin, Cat, and Bear. And I did a build on this previously, so if you wanted to see it in action. I love The Witcher. I love Baldur's Gate 3. This is just a lot of fun to have this. Mod was made by Srayzel as well. They did a great job with this one. So you can see there Yrden, Gwen, Ard, Axii, and Igni, all the different spells from The Witcher. And you can also do different potions and stuff. So it's very, very authentic to The Witcher. And as a fan of both of these, I think that this one is great. So I'd have to say Witcher, I'll put in the A tier. The A tier stacked here. It's tough. It's a tough one, but it's fun, especially for big fans of The Witcher. Next, we got ourselves the Oar Sentinel. So I really like the Oar Sentinel. I think this deserves so many more downloads. It's made by Nightly ST. Nightly, great creator as well. They're also in my Discord, so if you want to join the Discord, again, links in the description for that. But yeah, this one is awesome. What makes the Oar Sentinel so cool? They actually had a previous version of the Oar Sentinels. It got corrupted whenever they're editing the mod. It had 3 subclasses there with the Oar Keeper, Seeker, and Watcher. You unfortunately cannot download this one anymore because it got removed off of mod.io. However, they recreated their mod, the Oar Sentinels. And there's 6 subclasses: the Spring Keeper, Sun Watcher, Lore Seeker, Phase Shaper, Fall Reaver, and Frost Weaver. Each of these got its own unique abilities. Some of them even come with different pets that you can get. So like the Fall Reaver here, they'll have their own unique focus, different spells that you can add. And there's also Mistress Spells compatibility, which I think is really great. But they also get a summon depending on which one of these you choose. So with that, I think that this is one of the best class mods. Like this one gets to summon Hyena, the Spring Keeper. So you also, whenever you play as any of these, you get a druid's, or you get a not a wild shape, a ranger's companion, basically like the Beastmaster Ranger. It'll level up alongside you. You also get, it's very similar to the druid, but based on an earlier edition, the Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 edition rule set. So it's more of a melee class-ish hybrid, and I just think it's really well done. As someone that likes the druid, I think that this one is very, very well done. So if you are a fan of the druid, you got to give this mod a try. They did a great job with it, and I think they deserve recognition for their hard work. And for that, I'm actually going to put this one up in the S tier. It's very, very well done with those 6 different subclasses, all offering different ways to play. It's definite lock for S tier. Next, we got ourselves the Dual Wielder. So this is an interesting one made by Leia here, and the Dual Wielder is, as the name implies, focused on dual wielding. So at level 1, you get your offhand attack. It's the ability modifier. You get a +1 armor class, and you can dual wield 2 weapons. So you get all those benefits. And it also comes with a bunch of unique attacks too. So this one's cool. You can see here a full list of the effects. So you get yourself flurry charges. Your flurries are attacks that can attack multiple targets. Bonus move speed, increase flurry actions, assassin's alacrity. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits playing as this, and I'll also have there's level 20 support here too. So it's really cool. I think this is a fun one, especially if you like dual wielding weapons. There's also the Marauder Rogue subclass. I didn't cover subclasses in this video, but that is another choice. I'm gonna have to put the dual wielder is somewhere's low A tier, B tier, probably somewhere's around there. It's obviously just one single class, so yeah, it's just doesn't offer. Obviously, these have so much more going on them, so that makes it tough to rank this. But the last class that we got, I previously just actually recently did a build on this, is the Ill Rigger. So this mod is actually Dungeons and Dragons. It's got your baleful seals that you can apply to the enemies. What is this class? It's basically a paladin from hell. It's like fire and necrotic damage focus, and I think that that's really cool. So with this, you got this mod was made by Coveless Livian, and yeah, this is awesome. I really do enjoy this class mod, because it adds so many new and cool effects. So you can use these baleful seals to apply fire and necrotic damage every time you attack an enemy, or an ally of yours will attack an enemy. It's basically like the paladin, but instead of getting smites, you get to add an elemental damage type to your attacks, and it's not as strong in terms of, obviously smites are very powerful, but I think this is a very unique class, and for that I'd have to put this one. It also has 3 subclasses. I'd have to put this into the A tier as well. So this is tough to rank them into rank, so I don't want to, because they're obviously all very well done. Like, if I could just put them all in the S tier because they're all that well done, but I want to try and keep this as balanced as possible. Nothing against the Blood Mage, it's just not strong at all, and it doesn't offer really anything special, but they're all, even the Blood Mage is well done. I think the mod creator's done a fantastic job with what we've gotten so far. Just wanted to rank 22 of the best class mods that I've used so far. I've actually done builds on pretty much all of these too, so you can check those out on my channel. Actually, I think I did builds for every single one of these, so check out my channel if you want to, if you're curious about these in a little bit further detail. So I show you off the class, I show off how to play it, I show you best gear options. So got a lot of different modded class videos on my channel, so you can check those out. Also, again, another plug for the Discords in the description, because there's a few different mod creators that share some sneak peeks on their next mods in there, so you know, may as well check that out. And yeah, have yourself a great day. Hit the subscribe button below if you found this video fun or useful, and I'll see you all in the next video.